Most people believe that transformation must be loud. They believe that change must be announced, displayed, and celebrated in front of others. Yet in truth, the most radical transformations rarely seek an audience. They are born in silence, in solitude, in the dim light of self-examination, where no applause can reach. Organizing one's life is not a spectacular performance. It is a quiet revolution of the psyche, a confrontation with chaos that begins within. When we think of order, we often imagine neatly arranged schedules, perfect morning routines, and flawless external discipline. But true order has little to do with appearances. It is not about creating a polished image of strength, success, or happiness. Instead, it is about aligning the conscious mind with the hidden depths of the unconscious, so that our actions, decisions, and emotions arise from integration rather than fragmentation. A life that appears controlled on the surface but is driven by inner turmoil is no more than a fragile mask. A life that seems simple but is anchored in psychological clarity is a fortress. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist whose work forever changed our understanding of the human soul, described this journey as individuation. Individuation is not a path of perfection, it is a path of wholeness. It is the process of reconciling the fragmented pieces of our inner world, the ego, the shadow, the archetypes, the wounds we deny, and the potentials we have yet to awaken. To organize your life in the Jungian sense is not to appear as though you have control, but to become, step by step, who you truly are. This kind of order does not begin with a planner or a productivity app. It begins in the silence of self-reflection, in the willingness to face the very aspects of yourself you would rather ignore. The shadow, the rejected, hidden parts of your psyche, does not vanish when ignored. It festers, it leaks, it distorts your choices in ways you do not notice. Chaos in daily life, cycles of procrastination, broken relationships, financial mismanagement, and restless emotions are rarely accidents. They're symptoms. They're echoes of a disorganized inner world trying to be heard. To silence these echoes with external cosmetics is useless. What you clean on the outside will return unless you address the turmoil within. This is why Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." To take control of your life, you must first confront the unseen forces directing it. And so, organizing life becomes a sacred act. Not sacred because it is holy in the religious sense, but because it demands reverence, discipline, and courage. It means creating a stable inner structure that can withstand storms. It means choosing clarity over reactivity, patience over impulsivity, and authenticity over appearances. It is not an act to impress others. It is a contract you sign in silence with your own soul. Because genuine transformation doesn't beg for validation. The more we insist on telling others how much we are changing, the less energy we have to actually change. Those who announce their inner revolutions too early often confuse the story they tell with the transformation they need. True order does not shout, it whispers through the consistency of your actions. The chaotic mind produces a chaotic life. The ordered mind, quietly cultivated, produces a life of clarity and strength. This order is not rigidity, it is fluid, alive, and capable of adaptation. To live in order does not mean to control every outcome, but to anchor yourself in a psychological foundation that allows you to face what comes with resilience. This is the beginning of the journey, but once silence is embraced, the next revelation emerges, that the chaos outside is not separate from us. It is a reflection of the chaos within. Look around you. The world in its raw form is not silent. It is loud, unpredictable, and merciless. Every day we wake to a storm of demands, notifications, obligations, expectations, and unforeseen crises. At first glance, it seems that chaos is external, that life itself conspires against our peace. Yet the truth is more unsettling. Much of what we call external chaos is nothing more than a mirror of our internal disarray. Jung once wrote that the outer world is a canvas upon which the unconscious projects itself. What we fail to reconcile inside, we are forced to face outside. The battles we refuse to fight within become battles that surround us, disguised as toxic relationships, recurring failures, or endless distractions. Life in this sense is not merely happening to us, it is responding to us. The chaos we fear is often the chaos we carry. Consider the person who cannot bear solitude. To be alone feels unbearable because silence exposes the voices they have long ignored: doubt, resentment, fear, and longing. So they fill their life with noise, people, and endless activity. But the more they run from themselves, the more chaotic their environment becomes. They attract drama, entangle themselves in conflicts, and create storms where none existed. This is not superstition, it is psychology. When we are fragmented, our decisions are fragmented. We choose poorly in relationships, in work, in how we spend our time. We react impulsively and then suffer consequences we could have avoided. The unconscious demands expression, and if it cannot find it within reflection, it will find it through circumstance. This is Jung's description of the principle of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that reveal the connection between psyche and world. But synchronicity is not always gentle. Sometimes it comes as repeated suffering, as if life is saying, "Here is the wound you refuse to see. Here is the shadow you continue to ignore." What seems like cruel fate is often an invitation, an insistent call to turn inward and confront the chaos at its root. The task then is not to escape chaos, but to interpret it, to see in the storms around us the shape of the storms within us. This requires humility. It requires the courage to ask, what is this trying to show me about myself? Such questions strip us of excuses. They force us to see the hand we ourselves play in the dramas we endure. And yet, when we dare to face this mirror, something shifts. Chaos ceases to be an enemy and becomes a teacher. Each conflict becomes an initiation. Each failure becomes a map. What once appeared as meaningless suffering begins to reveal meaning. The mirror does not lie. It may distort, it may confuse, but it always reflects. To deny it is to remain trapped. To face it is to begin to reclaim your life. And yet, deeper still, lies the unavoidable confrontation, the shadow itself. Every human being carries a hidden twin, an unseen companion that walks silently behind us, whispering through impulses, dreams, and fears. Jung called it the shadow, the dark counterpart of our conscious personality. It is made of everything we deny, everything we repress, everything we fear to admit about ourselves. And though ignored, it does not disappear. The shadow waits. To confront the shadow is not optional. It is inevitable. We may resist it for years, even decades, but the confrontation will arrive. Through crisis, through breakdown, through the collapse of the identity we have carefully constructed. The more we deny the shadow, the more violent its return. The shadow is not simply evil. It contains both destructive and creative potential. It is composed of the qualities we reject because they do not fit the image we want to present. For some, it holds rage, envy, greed, lust. For others, it hides tenderness, vulnerability, ambition, or brilliance. Whatever we exile becomes the territory of the shadow. This exile begins in childhood. We shape our personalities to earn love and avoid rejection. But what is hidden does not die. It waits. It returns as projection, as conflict, as recurring patterns. True confrontation requires turning inward into the labyrinth of the psyche. This is not a comfortable journey. It feels like death, yet it is the precondition for renewal. Integration does not mean indulging the shadow blindly. It means recognizing it, naming it, and giving it a place within. Left in the dark, these forces corrupt. Brought to light, they empower. The shadow is dangerous only when denied. Like a neglected child, it misbehaves until acknowledged. Like a hidden wound, it festers until treated. Its eruptions are demands for recognition, not punishments. To ignore them is to live a half-life. To face them is to reclaim the energy of the full self. But most people resist. They cling to the mask of the ego, terrified of what lies beneath. They prefer illusion to truth. But illusion cannot last. Eventually, the mask cracks, and the shadow emerges, through dreams, through conflict, through crisis. To walk the path of individuation is to meet it willingly, to descend into the cave with eyes open, ready to see what dwells there. And though terrifying, it is liberating. For when you embrace the shadow, you become whole. The shadow waits for everyone. Sooner or later, you will meet. The only question is whether you will face it willingly or be devoured by it slowly. To confront the shadow is to descend, but the descent is not the end. The true aim is to return transformed, carrying wholeness